Hey everybody, it's Michelle from Forgotten Path here. We're in our garden bed today. We're going to plant some fertilizer. Just little fish. You can do this with whole fish. We have a lot of lakes around us that have stunted bluegills. There's just so many that they really don't get any bigger than this. And all we're doing is just shoving our shovel down, wiggling it back and forth, just sliding it down in and just covering it back up. Just spacing them out. Put them in, cover them up, and this will get our garden so it has blood meal, bone meal, everything else from a fish. You can do this with just your leftover, everything that's left over after you've laid out your fish. So like during ice fishing time, go ahead and after you've laid out all your fish, just toss everything into a bag and freeze it. Pull it out a little before last frost so it thaws out, and go through your garden bed and just spread it all around. It will just help your bed immensely. It's organic fertilizer basically, instead of having to use harsh chemicals that can hinder some of your garden. And then if you've ever had issues with planting garlic where it never comes up, or your bulbs are always really small, try planting them in the fall. This is the first week of September, and we're just going to go through and plant our garlic. Whether you buy it from the store or you get garlic bulbs that you had left over, just go through, break off the cloves, this is off of a plant that I had planted last fall, and we were planting garlic everywhere from October, mid-September all the way I think into October, if not even further, and we didn't have any issues with them. And just go through, and your part where the root was, you want that down. And for winter time, if you're letting these gonna overwinter, you want to plant them in a hole between 1 to 2 inches deep, and then just cover them up. I tend to give mine about 3 inches of space. If it's a little less than that, it's fine. You can go through, thin them out if you want. We're going to try and plant a whole bunch. We really like garlic here at our household. You can just go ahead. We do basically square foot gardening. It gives you a lot more ability in your garden instead of trying to do everything in rows. That just tends to wind up kind of wasting space. We done a raised garden bed. It's about 4 feet wide, and ours are, I think they're 12 or 16 feet long. And then we just go through. These are just the cinder blocks that are 8 by 16. Pretty much go the size of one cinder block, and I make a row. But we're just going to go through and we're going to plant all this wonderful garlic. And then we'll have it come up in the spring. Garlic really likes the cooler time of year for when it grows the most. So actually, if you can plant in winter, it's usually the best. Those first couple weeks of spring is when it just pretty much goes gangbuster. So plant it during the fall if you've ever had any issues, or if you're in a warmer climate. Plant it during winter, or plant it during late fall. She'll sit all during winter, no issue. And just remember, you always want your tip up, and the section that had where the root was is the section that you want down. 1 to 2 inches deep, and you'll have garlic in the spring. So when you're breaking your roots, your garlic part, you'll have your base section. It's usually nice and flat that you've ripped off from the main root. And then you'll have your other top piece that kind of more comes up to a tip. But the tip piece, you want up. So basically it'll be just like that. Push her in. And if you have a couple that you think you put in upside down, don't worry about it. I did that with one last year. It still grew. Just kind of came out a little goofy. But try to always have it so your root piece, your base, is pointing down.
Happy?
Mm-hmm.